It's tea really. Hello, and welcome back to the betting league for the final day of the York Eber Festival. I hope you're having a good read of the stories and the blogs on the site and registering for a few of the tipsters who currently are in better form than me, which isn't hard after this week. And currently there's a couple of young whippersnappers charging up the table, Easy Money and Jack 105, snapping at my heels. And then there's the ever consistent Horsey, who has been second behind me for a long while. But overall, I'm still top dog on here with 420.5 points profit from 155 selections, which on any tipping site is pretty good going, even though I say so myself. On the tipping front yesterday, then another dismal day for me. If you took note of what I said couldn't win and might win in the races where I didn't give a selection, you could have won a few quid. But tipping wise, hopeless. I got the wrong Easterby run in the first race when Kraken Top won, and then the banker, my banker, cost me a fortune. Requinto, it never went a yard yesterday. So that's a blowout really for 3 days from all the selections, nowhere, mainly last. And only today, 7 races to recover losses and make a profit, which, as I've said to you before, one winner over the meeting at the prices I select, it virtually guarantees you a profit. So all's not lost. And if we don't win today, as you can see, if you follow me regular, you do make money. I can't win all the time as much as I try. I do really try hard for you guys, and I'm as disappointed as you if I don't win. Anyway, it was a dry night near the course where I live. A little breeze, so I imagine it'll have dried up a little bit, but it could be a little tacky today. So just bear that in mind if you're having a bet. So on to today, 2 o'clock. The first race is the City of York Stakes. Only 12 runners to sift through now that couple of runners, and there's a couple of runners there from the Emerald Isles, couple of rogues and characters, and some very in and out performers, including Himalaya, who is having his first run for Steph Higgins, and he has some back class, and if they can coax him back to form, I think he's a sort of horse where a move to a smaller stable like Steph Higgins could revitalise him, and you could be surprised. Yeah, well, won this last year, but that form, it was £10 better than anything he's done before or since. So it's a bit of a leap of faith to think that he's going to repeat that. So not for me. I don't think any of the Irish runners are good enough. Dafif, he's been gelded since last time, and I know what I'd feel like if I'd been gelded. And he's also been moved to Willie Magus. But, the race he's running, he's been beaten in, they've been much weaker than this. So unless they've found a key to him and the gelding helps, when there's a few pounds there less to carry, then the op would have to have some dramatic results for him to figure here. Dreamy, another one, seems to have lost his way this season, despite being tried over further. Back to shorter distances. Again, you got to wait and see if he's going to show any sort of form. Doncaster Rovers, very consistent horse without winning too often. But today's race is weak, and he deserves a good run. Majestic Miles from the far yard, I just don't think he's good enough. Regal Parade's another one, out of form. It's a bit of an ask him to produce it back today after a few runs this season when he hasn't been doing it. And, to be nearly favourite, I think that's a bit silly. King Taurus, that's interesting. I mean, last season he improved with each race until flopping in the very soft going at Longchamp. So you've got to be able to forgive that. And if you forgive that race, he's a class horse in the race and should be favourite. And I think that he probably would win. The problem is that he's had the break. And so that for that reason, I won't be backing him. I would watch him. But, I do think probably would win. That Caramel Barry is another this season who, after the break from 2 to 3, if he's filled out a bit, it could be anything because he had some decent form last year. And he's a big price to be in the first three. So I probably think that I would back King Taurus if I were a bet. And Himalaya and Caramel Barry, I think, could fill the places at big prices. 2:30, the Melrose handicap. As ever, it's got a full contingent of runners and a wide open race. So, I mean, what chance have I got of picking a winner out of this lot, where I'm going? But as yesterday proved, again, high numbers don't have much of a chance in a race over this sort of trip. So you can chuck out top half, doesn't it, and draw those drawn high. So that only leaves me with 14 runners to sift through. Apache's form, I don't think from the O'Brien yard that is good enough, even with young Joseph taking off £3. Fast pace will help Whiplash Willie settle a little bit better than he did last time. But I think he's got his full share of weight for now, and I think the same can be said about the Richard Hills ridden Mazerat, who on paper you think's the first string, but I ain't too sure. Kinney Rass has been brought along quietly by Sir Michael, but I think he's got all onto turntables with Whiplash Willie on revised terms. So again, not for me. Mark Johnston does not use blinkers very often, and he's put them on Halifax today, who has odd bit of form, which would give him a small chance here, but it's asking a lot. Communicator, progressing nicely this season, and a fast run race would help because I think it's a bit of stayer, and I just think that at the end of the race he's going to be outspeeded by someone. Pivotman has got two ways of running. If he's on his best behaviour, on these revised terms, he would beat Whiplash Willie, so who knows. Ardlewey ain't good enough and badly drawn. Lyric Street is untried over this trip and at nearly favourite or around favourite. You're guessing, and I don't like to guess in this sort of races, so I don't know. But I've narrowed it down to three runners what I think have got a chance in of winning this race. And you know what I'm going to say next. If you want to know what they are, then subscribe. $29.99 for a whole month of these rubbish tips, and then you'll find out what they are. The 305, it's the Lonsdale Cup. I don't think that this 2 miles is what Dandino wants. I'm waiting for him to go back to 10 furlongs, but that's my opinion. But I'm watching for that to happen. Blue Bajan, since he's been moved to David O'Meara's yard, he's been a model of consistency on the flat. But he often travels well without finding what you think, and I think he might get outstayed or outbattled today. Front runner Duncan likes it here, but I just think he might set it up for some of the others over this trip. Race just fell right for opinion for last time, but I'm not sure if it'll happen today. Obvious one is Irish Tweed. He's got everything in his favour. The only thing I'm worried about is the distance, and so for that reason, I won't be backing him. I'll be backing the David Ellsworth runner at around 16.5 to 0. He gets lumps of weight from all the other runners and has improved with each run this season. And if he carries on this improvement, I think there's no reason why he wouldn't improve past some of these. And he's my suggestion for a small bet. Right, on to the big race now, the one you've all been waiting for, the 340, the Ebor. And the one we've all been waiting for, as I say. It's the highlight of the week. I just think that, well, interesting enough, if you look on Betfair now, or when I'm looking, they show the draw in brackets side of the runner's number. Just for the minute now, they're not showing the draw. And that's interesting, bearing in mind how significant a part the draw plays. But as in the previous race, like I say, you forget about the 6 drawn widest, which, you know, straight away takes 3 of the favourites out of the race. Sapatapardi, Lost in the Moment, and Mount Athos, who've all got a mountain at the climb from that draw. Foxon, unusually for a Mark Johnston trained horse, is the model of consistency. I don't like Mark Johnston trained runners, as you can gather. But taking into account the draw and the revised terms, I think he'll finish around where Lost in the Moment finishes. But I think he's got a bit too much weight to win still. Neham is interesting and seems to have retained most of his form after his injury. And step back in trip is what he wants, but I just don't know if the level of form on softest going is what he wants. Wyan Corniche from the Brian Nelson yard, I think he's the better out of the two, taking in mind the draw, and I think he'll be up there with the early pace, but I think he'll struggle to last home. It'll be a shock. I've narrowed this down to just 4 runners, but once again, if you want to see what they are, you have to be a member. So put your hands in your pocket, and you'll find out what they are. 4:15. It's not a race to get too involved with, really. Most of the runners are capable of any amount of improvement. Gusto is a shocking price and will be my place later the day. And we've had a good record. All the place layers have come in so far. So hopefully we'll carry on that tier. I think that it'll be a fast run race with Vocational looking to be the solidest of the ones. But, you know, anything could win. I was impressed with the improvement Excelet showed last time. And if it comes through with some more improvement, you know, I could see him run a big race. 4:50, the Betfred Nursery, another one of mine. Place later the day, Holy Roman Warrior from the Resurgent Fire Yard. It's got to be a place lay. The race that he won last time, it were a weak race, slow time. Didn't look like a step up and chip were what I needed. So he's going to be my second place later the day, and hopefully keep up the good record. Comical from the Mark Johnston stable, it looks outclassed to me. And even with the enforcer on board, I think the same applies to Risky Act. I think it's hard to split the Anna runners. If I were to choose, I would go for Wolfgang at the price because Creus is unbeaten but unproven on the going. It's normally not a race to get too involved with because any of the runners can show improvement as they grow up. But I think I've got one here that sneaked on the radar. But again, to find out what it is, you need to dip into your pockets and subscribe. And then hopefully I'll give you a winner. 5:20, the last race of the day, and we're getting desperate now if we haven't had a winner already. And there's only 13 runners. Now Stoner Falk as a non-runner. So a fairly easy race to solve in comparison to some of the others over the week. Marine Commando, I don't think it's good enough, even though it's from the Far Yard. Lady Royal is improving, but I think it's got it all to do today in a stronger race than she's used to. Cocktail Charlie, I think the drop back in trip will be suiting better, but I think he's got a fair share of weight. Thriller's gone, needs quicker going than is today, and is very consistent. But narrow this down to just 3 runners, and once again, you need to find out what they are by subscribing. So if you haven't subscribed, you're a tight git. If you've subscribed, I hope I've given you a winner. Cheers. See you on Saturday.